right, welcome. This is a workshop session on the quality criteria, focusing on assessments and content activities. I am Allison Loach, and I am one of the instructional designers in the Teaching and Learning Innovation Hub. Things that I can assist with is course design. I can help make interactive pieces, can help brainstorm how to make pieces more engaging and interactive for students. And I'll let Cynthia introduce herself.
Good afternoon, I'm Cynthia Booth, and we want to thank you for joining us here asynchronously and virtually. We realize that not everybody is able to join us all the time, and we wanted to make sure you could get the content. I am the educational developer here in the Hub and newly appointed into this, or newly invited to be a part of the team, and very much enjoying it. I'm working with Allison in a slightly different capacity. I support faculty in their curriculum development, in their delivery of their classes, along with some professional growth. So always looking for opportunities in the Hub to share learning experiences and also learn from fellow faculty. So thank you for joining us today.
All right, so first thing we're going to do is kind of do a little bit of a check-in. So myself and Cynthia will do a check-in with you, and feel free to do it on your own at home as well. So quick check-in is Cynthia actually has some gum, different flavors, different variety. And our question is essentially, how are you feeling today in a type of a gum? Cynthia, if you want to go first and tell us how you're feeling today.
So we would have had for you, if we had seen you in person, a little double bubble, a little fruit layered Trident, a little Hubba Bubba, like the classic kid gum. We also had the Thrill Gum. If you've ever had it, it tastes like soap, and it really does. It only lasts about 5 minutes. We then had some classic adult gum, you know, fresh breath, but bubblegum flavored, which was awesome. And then we also had Excel. Apparently this is the long lasting gum. I didn't know that until we had another group. So today I need the long lasting gum. It's nearing the end of the day, and I just need that little pick me up. That's my day in a gum.
Awesome.
Allison, how about you?
I would say today I'm the layered Trident fruity gum. Definitely beautiful weather right now, so feeling summery, feeling very light, almost the weekend. Different layers of things going on today. Did a little bit of instructional design, did a little bit of instructional videos, so that kind of thing. So feeling very layered today in the things that I've been working on, and just feeling in general.
Cool. Well, you might be having a bubblegum kind of day, like blowing big bubbles, or maybe you feel like the gum's stuck on the bottom of your shoe. Whatever it is, we hope you've had a great day.
Yep, totally okay to feel like you're stuck on the bottom of a shoe.
Yep,
no
absolutely.
judgment.
Yep, we all have those days.
Okay, next up, just before we dive in, we're going to show you this video that's just talking about empowering students to own the assessment process.
Assessment is all around us. If you're a skater at a skate park, you're engaging in self-assessment every time you reflect on your progress and plan your next steps. If you're a runner training for a marathon, you look at time splits and compare it to your goals. If you're a musician, you're engaging in assessment every time you listen to yourself play and make modifications to your approach. As an author, you engage in self-assessment when you revise your work, and it's not always individual. Often assessment will happen in community. If you're a chef, you're engaging in peer assessment when you ask a trusted fellow chef, how does this taste? If you're an artist, you might ask for an extra set of eyes on a particular project. If you're an engineer, you might observe users to see if your design is working. And if you do any kind of creative work, both self-assessment and peer assessment are vital for improving your craft. It helps you refine your process and helps you improve your products. Assessment helps us figure out what we know, what we don't know, and what steps we need to take in the future to master a skill or understand a concept at a deeper level. Okay, but what does this mean in the classroom? Well, it starts with self-assessment. Here, students engage in goal setting, where they set goals, plan their approach, and keep track of the progress. They also engage in self-reflections. Here, they can reflect on the learning process, but also focus on the strengths and weaknesses of their products, which then leads to new iterations. A similar option is a student survey with multiple choice, checkboxes, and Likert scales. In some cases, students might use a self-assessment rubric. Students are able to look at the progression from emerging to mastery with specific descriptions in various categories. They are able to gain an accurate view on what they are doing while also having a clear picture of where they need to be. Students might also use checklists. These can be a powerful diagnostic tool that students use before, during, and after a specific task. When projects are done, they can present their work in a portfolio where they reflect on what they've learned. Peer assessment is also important. One option is the 10-minute peer feedback system. This begins with one student sharing their work or pitching an idea while the other student actively listens. It then moves to a chance to ask clarifying questions, get feedback, respond to feedback, and chart out your next steps. Another option is structured feedback with sentence stems. This is especially helpful for ELL students. Or you could use the 3-2-1 structure. Now this is simple. Students provide 3 strengths, 2 areas of improvement, and 1 question that they still have. Another option is the peer feedback carousel. Here, each group has a stack of sticky notes, and they offer anonymous feedback as they move from group to group to group. Or you could keep it more open-ended with peer coaching. Students interview each other about the process, they guide reflection, and they provide feedback. Now, we often think of classroom assessment as a conversation between teachers and students, but in life, students won't always have a teacher to grade their work or give them necessary feedback. And this is why we need self-assessment and peer assessment every day. The more we can integrate this into our lessons, the better prepared students will be for the creative life.
Well, thank you, John Spencer, for creating that framework for us to think about both peer and self-evaluation. When we think about authentic assessment with our students, we know that these are 2 valuable things. And that's what you came here today to learn, is what are we talking about in relation to quality criteria and specifically in relation to assessments and content activity. So I'm going to turn it back over to Allison, who's going to step us into that direction.
Yeah, and I just want to note, I really like this video just because it kind of shows the different topics, different type of assessments that might work for a certain program or course that might not work for another one. Totally depends on that. And like Cynthia said, finding that authentic assessment that will fit best for what you're trying to achieve with your students. So before we dive in even more, if you would like to access our presentation that we're using currently, you have the choice you can either scan this QR code with your phone by just going in your camera and scanning it. It will bring you to a Moodle shell that is called the Hub Studio, and it houses this presentation on the first section. Or you can also access it by typing in this bit.ly link and also bringing you to that Moodle shell. You'll just have to self-enroll, and then you'll be able to access everything there. There's also some H5P pieces in there that you can also have a look at if you're feeling interested or curious about what some people have created using H5P at Cambrian, which is what this is built in, is an H5P course presentation. So yeah, feel free to access that as needed. And then here we'll come along to another QR code and bit.ly link. This one will guide you to our quality criteria for digital and online learning webpage. So this is essentially where we're covering the assessment piece and also the content and activity piece that are part of the criteria list.
One of the great things I love about these QR codes is the fact that a student can click on that, they can peruse through it while you're actually teaching, but then when they go home, that link is still saved and they can go back and look at it again, and then they can save it in a spot that works for them. It's also really great if you happen to have equipment in your classroom, or if there's a new feature that you want students to look at in your classroom. I'm thinking in terms of maybe some of our heavy equipment, or any of the training that might be done on specialized equipment, or if you have a specialty lab and you can have a QR code on the outside of that door, and people could go, hey, this is a fire lab, and in our fire lab, these are some of the things that you see. That might be especially helpful when we have tours and that kind of thing. Passing it back over to Allison.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. So this is essentially the quality criteria for digital and online learning that we created as a hub team. You'll see here that you can actually download a copy. That's essentially the same content that you're going to be seeing on our webpage, but you can open it in Word form. And it'll give you essentially a chart that you can use to check mark yourself to see where you're kind of at with the quality criteria. So you'll see here there is required and recommended criteria. So you'll see that there'll be either bronze, silver, or gold next to items. And today we are focusing on the assessments. So here's some of the assessment pieces that are required here. And then you'll see there's strongly recommended pieces, and then also a gold recommended piece, which means your top tier, you know, you've done everything that you can to just ensure that those quality pieces are included. Then I'll scroll back up to the top, and I'll just show you the content and activities piece as well. So like you can see, like the assessments, you'll have your bronze items that are required, a silver that is recommended, and then a gold, of course, that top recommended piece that you can achieve.
And when we look at the content and activities, you'll see that one of the first items there is our copyright regulations. And so the folks in the library are great resources if you are unsure and if the copyright regulations are new to you, just to help you ensure that all of your digital and online needs are meeting those regulations.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. So I'll switch back to our presentation here. So you can access this again on our website if you go straight to the Hub website, or you can again scan this QR code or input the bit.ly link. And then you'll be able to access that hard copy as well if you choose. All right, so before we continue, we're going to do a little bit of a quiz. Again, no pressure. It's just so we can all learn together, and then make sure we're inputting the proper recommendations, quality criteria requirements, and that sort of thing. So we'll start with question 1. So the course outline clearly articulates all the grading policies and practices in the additional information section. So we can either answer heck no, I'm not sure, or absolutely yes, no doubt in my mind.
Okay, so I'm going to guess here since I am the participation. I'm going to go, I'm not sure, but I say that because I'm new and not really, but I'm new and it says all. And I don't think all, but I think maybe not all.
All right.
But who knows? Let's go with that.
All right. Incorrect. So it's actually heck no. So essentially, some details can be found in the academic evaluation policy, which we've also linked here. Again, we have a QR code, but it is linked here, and you'll see that other details that share giving academic flexibility to faculty members are listed in here. So that would be heck no. All right, moving on to the next question.
So question 2, it says allowing students to collaborate or work together on a quiz is considered an acceptable standard from an accessibility standpoint. So let's give a little bit more information before Allison gets the chance to answer. You have given the students full permission and outlined that they are allowed to work with a partner on this quiz. They would get the exact same results if they were to take the quiz together, and because they do have the choice to allow themselves to work with someone else, they also have the choice to work alone. So the question is, do you think that this is considered an acceptable standard from an accessibility standpoint? So again, the options are heck no, maybe, or absolutely yes. Allison, what do you pick?
I'm gonna think maybe, because I know it might be around academic integrity or not, so I'm gonna go with maybe.
All right, we're failing so far, but that's okay because we are learning in every moment. When we think about the idea of being accessible, absolutely, I can see what you think about that, and also academic integrity. When we allow students to work together, it's because we know that in the field they're going to work together and collaborate. And sometimes we're testing not just the skill of the content knowledge, but also the skill of them being able to work together and to work through that process. So parameters of collaboration, if they're laid out in advance, students can collaborate. Let's keep going.
All right, question number 3. It is an accessibility requirement to cite sources of images in Moodle pages. Could it be absolute yes, no doubt in my mind, really, or no way?
Okay, so if I'm thinking copyright, probably the answer is yes. So I'm going to go with absolutely yes, no doubt in my mind.
That's correct. So definitely you want to, show students best practice as well. If you're linking to the sources of the stuff you're using, you usually expect them to do the same, right? In any assignments, that kind of thing. So it's definitely best practice and definitely good for accessibility.
A single activity in a course needs to meet more than one essential employability skill. Is this a heck no, a yes of course, or I have no clue? What do you think, Allison?
I'm gonna go with heck no.
Heck no. Why do you say heck no?
I would say I don't think you need more than one essential employee skill, maybe more of the, outcomes, objectives, that kind of thing, but I wouldn't say the EES. So I'll go with heck no.
Look at that. We got another one.
You're getting better.
Absolutely. And you know what? A single course activity does not need to meet every single vocational standard, nor does it need to meet every one of our essential employability skills. We have many evaluations or assessments for a reason, and that gives us the opportunity to grow our students' skills along the way.
Perfect. All right, question number 5. Students need to receive feedback from an assignment within 10 business days of completing the assignments. Cynthia, do you think heck no or really?
Heck no. Have you ever seen the marking a pile that a faculty member may have sometimes? But in all seriousness, I'm still going to go with heck no.
All right. So it's actually really. Do you know why it could be really?
Well, it could be really, because sometimes if I do an assessment and I'm trying to teach a student a skill and I'm building on that skill in the next evaluation, they probably need the feedback before I test them on that skill, that same skill.
Yep, makes sense to me.
All right, the course outline is a contract between the student and the college, and faculty member has significant flexibility throughout the semester to change the evaluation plan to respond to students' accommodations and needs. What do you think? Heck no, absolutely yes, and no doubt in my mind. Let me think about it.
I'm gonna say heck no. I think changing things in between a semester can be really confusing, can really lose someone. So I'm gonna answer heck no. Let's see.
You are absolutely correct. For sure, for sure. When we write out a contract between us and the students in our course outlines, which is exactly what it is, we cannot change the evaluation factors in terms of applied activities, assessments related to quizzes, or assessments related to assignments. We have flexibility within that, but that plan of assessments cannot change because it's a contract between the faculty and their learners. And of course, you can reference the academic evaluation policy for that.
All right, question number 7. To meet accessibility standards, assessments and their rubrics will be available from the very beginning of the semester. No way, or really?
Okay, so as a faculty member who, new or otherwise, if I have to have every single solitary one of all of my rubrics done by the beginning of the semester, I think I might pull my hair out. So I'm going to go with no way. So
Incorrect.
really,
Yeah, so for accessibility reasons, having the assessments and the rubrics prepared for students, some students, might have anxiety around that or might be unsure or want to know ahead of time what is going to be expected of them. So I think it is important to have that all included within your course, just for accessibility standards.
the other thing we might want to also think about, though, as faculty is, as much as you'd like to give all of those rubrics and assignments all at once, it can be overwhelming for other students. So you need to consider a balance of how much you front load with them and how much you reflect back and give them along the way. Another time where you might not release the rubric right away is maybe you're giving an experiential activity to the students, and the reflective assignment that follows it would give away the experience. So you don't want to give it to them until they've actually first experienced it. So be mindful of the objective of your assessment, be mindful of the needs of your students, but be very consistent in the fact that you're going to need checklists, rubrics, some kind of grading scheme so that students know how they can be 100% gold star oriented or maybe keeping that bronze level. According to accessibility standards, a course with 4 tests, each weighted at 25%, is considered an accessible measure of course assessment. Heck no? Maybe? Absolutely yes, no doubt in my mind. What do you think, Allison?
I'm going to think 4 tests sounds super stressful for a student that may struggle with tests in general. So I'm going to say heck no.
You are absolutely correct with the heck no. Not only does it create some stress, but if we look at our criteria related to assessment, our goal, especially at the silver and gold standard, is to have authentic assessments. There are very few jobs in the world where you are only ever going to measured on your ability to complete 4 tests, multiple choice or otherwise. So the more variety we have, we speak to people's strengths, we give people the opportunity to show their full potential, and the more authentic we are in our measurement.
Awesome. And who doesn't love variety, right?
Absolutely. They say it's the spice of life. And we still have a gum variety for anybody.
Exactly.
You can come down to the hub and have some if you'd like.
Awesome. All right, we're getting to the near end, so I think we have 2 questions left. So this question is, offering students examples of exemplary work is considered a recommended practice. Absolutely yes, it is recommended but not needed. Or heck no, it is a required practice. What do you think, Cynthia?
So this whole thing about quality criteria is about being accessible, right? Everything we're talking about. So if I'm going to go back to that, I'm sure the answer is probably going to be a required practice, but I will own as a faculty member, sometimes it's a struggle to give exemplary work because I don't want students to do a carbon copy of my work. I want their creative juices to come out. But something tells me from an accessibility standpoint, it's going to be heck no, it's a required practice.
All right. That is correct. So essentially, like you mentioned, Cynthia, just having that example for students gives them an understanding of what is required of them. I know there can be some tension on, them copying exactly what they're being shown in the example. And of course, that is something to worry about, but maybe just having wording or an explanation that, please do not copy this. We do want your own work, but this is a great example on what you should be creating or completing.
And sometimes you can also give that exemplary work after they've probably started the assignment, before they hand it in, but they get their creative juices flowing. And then it's like, oh yeah, it was totally on the right mark, but I think I'm going to jazz it up a bit more. Or they'll be like, Yeah, I'm so glad I saw that example because I was so off the mark.
Yep, definitely. That's a great tip.
Yeah, I can see how it would be a benefit. All right, we are in the home stretch with our final question. Opportunities that build community and foster active learning between students is a requirement in online and digital accessibility. So building some time for you to get to know the other people in your classes for digital and online. What do you think, Allison? Is it really, while it is not a requirement, it is considered a recommended practice? Or yes, 100% is a requirement?
That's a tricky one. For me personally, I feel like as a student, I would love to get to know my, you know, other student friends. Um, especially in the online digital world, we don't get to see people face to face sometimes. It can be really lonely feeling. So I would say maybe it is a requirement. At least I think it would be a great practice to use, definitely. So I'm gonna hit yes.
Ah, so it isn't a requirement yet. And I say yet because it just hasn't made it there. It isn't the bronze level. It is definitely, if you look at our documentation, it is gold level standard and silver level standard. If you can kind of give that opportunity for community capacity building in some way, shape, or form with our students. And so think about how to engage students online through discussion forums, through opportunities of video introductions of Flipgrid, whatever that might look like, because it's intimidating to come into a classroom, whether it's virtually or in person, to be able to get to know somebody. Breakout rooms are always great too.
All right, so we got 5 out of 10. That's not bad.
50%.
Yeah, we're definitely still learning all together, so definitely a pretty good score.
Yep, exactly.
All right, moving along here. So now that we've kind of focused more on the assessment part of the quality criteria, this QR code and again, bit.ly link can bring you to a content and activities Padlet activity. So kind of just an honorable mention is we did kind of, if you'll notice, we did incorporate kind of content and activity into one, like we just did. Me and Cynthia, we just went through a little quiz that was kind of giving us that active learning and engagement in the content and in the assessment. So again, all in one, it can be brought together. So if you go to our Padlet, please feel free to add anything that you would like. So we're just asking for you to share anything with text, images, you can use GIFs, emojis, anything that Padlet allows to express just how you feel about the course content and activities you've created in the past or present as related to the quality criteria and why. So you can see some of our examples here. We do have someone that's feeling a bit nervous, think they have some work to do, and that's totally okay. Or we have someone that's very happy, they feel like they're doing a great job, their content is diverse, inclusive. We have someone like here also that's just learning to pivot, change and alter their activities, assignments, and assessments to provide more interactive components, which is super great. And someone's just feeling very cool about what they're doing, which is awesome. So please feel free to share to this Padlet or check out what everyone else is kind of feeling in terms of their content and activities.
And we thank you for joining us today. Whatever you heard here today, this is just the beginning. Know that you can have a conversation with either myself or Allison or anyone else in the hub about our quality criteria. You can reference back to the H5P studio, the hub studio area, and see this presentation again. You can go back to our website to get those quality criteria if you didn't get those already. And if along the way you want to brainstorm with someone, please know you can come down and visit us.
Yes, thank you everyone. And hopefully you learned something today with this presentation. And again, feel free to access all of this content and the activities within it through the links and or HR codes that we provided throughout. Thank you.
Have a great day.